Hello and welcome to News from the Matrix, where we're actually being relatively quick after the news. I know it's been a day, but
somewhat,
we had to
slightly.
get it together. But anyway, the Mondasian Cybermen are back.
Woo!
Obviously, Stephen
I
Moffat.
shouldn't have gone that high.
Stephen Moffat obviously listened to our "Make the Cyberman Great Again" podcast.
Clearly,
He just rewrote. He rewrote the entire finale just after our podcast. So you know, it's just so awesome, and they look great.
But let's just hope he didn't watch all of our podcasts because we said some pretty nasty things about him.
True.
At some points.
Just stay away from those, Moffat, especially Beast Below. Don't watch that one.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so this is great news.
I'm really happy. I mean, okay, the original design isn't necessarily my favourite Cyberman design, but they're really iconic. They're really kind of creepy, and like they can do some interesting things still with them. I worry though somewhat. It depends on how they go about it. If they use them to a similar effect to how they're currently using the classic Daleks and just having them there as just kind of an ensemble, then it's almost like there's no point in it. Like,
I think they'll go for a full-on story with them.
I hope so, but then we also thought that, well, before Asylum of the Daleks, when they hyped up the old Daleks, and then we just got them slightly there in the background, and now they're using the old Daleks basically just as I said, just kind of an ensemble. As much as I like The Witch's Familiar, Magician's Apprentice, like, there was no reason why they should have had the classic Daleks there, other than, oh look, we got the classic Daleks.
That's true. I'm thinking in one way, though, because the Time for Heroes teaser trailer, which was brilliant, by the way, that was a great trailer. Really, really dug that trailer. That was really good. There's the Russell T Davies Cybermen in there.
Either that was a placeholder before...
Yeah, because they've only just started filming this. That's why this picture just surfaced. They literally have just started, and it's Rachel Talalay directing again, which is... I mean, the story she's directed always look great, especially Death and Heaven Sent, even. God, they both have Heaven in the title. Like, not the greatest stories, except Heaven Sent, because that was great, but, like, they've always looked good. That's one thing you can say. So, for her to direct these Cybermen, I'm happy with. Let's just hope Moffat's done a good story.
Yeah, it's all off it. Yeah, I have no idea.
But
the fact that they do have two different designs of Cybermen shown off in these things kind of concerns me that they might just end up being somewhat ensemble, perhaps.
Maybe.
But at the same time,
they wouldn't show 4 suits of it, though, would they? If they weren't going to be a big part of it. I mean, one positive is that at least it's a 2-parter.
You know,
that I think is good.
That makes me slightly hopeful. Hopefully they'll decide.
What makes me worried is Missy.
Somewhat.
That scares me.
Depends on how they do it. If they basically just continue what she was doing while she's in charge of these Cybermen from how she was in Dark Water, Death in Heaven, then no. Please, no. If it's something different, like possibly even slightly closer to
helping the
Apprentice,
Doctor,
somewhat, then that might be okay. Or like perhaps if the Cybermen were, maybe if Missy worked with the Cybermen, it was a little less trustful, like in the 5 Doctors, for example. Perhaps that could work too. But if it's like Missy's in charge, then no, please don't do that again.
I mean, hopefully.
Or actually, another idea I came up with was perhaps the Cybermen were upset about Missy somewhat betraying them in Death in Heaven, and then somewhat revenge. Perhaps they go specifically after her.
That would be decent. I wonder why it would. Or, to be honest, it could be the genesis of the Cybermen. I'd be perfectly happy if that was the title of part 1.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know whether or not they will do that or not.
I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I mean, I'm extremely happy that they've stuck completely to the design. I'm glad that they didn't do any updates or anything, except their hands look a bit glovey.
I think actually
but that's
the effect
what,
that they're
yeah,
going for isn't really glovey so much as it is
bubbled skin.
I think they make it more like it's slightly severed. I think it's kind of the effect that they're going for. So it kind of
like
looks kind of dead. Yeah, they look kind of dead, but not really dead, if that makes sense.
Oh, they just look so creepy. And we're going to see them in colour as well. That's the cool thing.
Be nice. One interesting thing is that in these promotions, they use the Mondas original Cybermen and the early New Who Cybermen, and not the recent New Who Cybermen.
Yeah.
As in the
Nightmare in
Silver design, which is odd. Like,
possibly
are they seriously going with another like Victory of the Daleks design? Just like, oh, we tried this new design, but it's not quite going on. So we just kind of brush it under the rug. You know, that never happened. We'll just throw away the costumes.
I'm just hoping that they're going with a new continuity, or just trying to start a bit afresh.
But I mean, if you're gonna create a new entirely designed Cybermen, I think you should at least try to use it.
Well, I'm guessing that this is set in the Cybermen's past, and that's why I'm pretty sure it might be a genesis of the Cybermen story.
Could do. Again, I'm still not 100% that they'll go that route. Again, especially considering they had the new Cybermen. If it was purely old Cybermen they were showing in the promotions, then perhaps I can see that. But the fact that they showed like a newer Cyberman in that teaser, I'm not entirely convinced that's where they're going with it.
Or maybe they were just trying to fill a gap by they didn't want to reveal any other monsters, but they knew Cybermen were going to be in it, but they hadn't got any promotional photos yet. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I do think. But at the same time, considering how close they are together, they could have just delayed the teaser if they just wanted, like, the Cybermen.
Well, no, because that teaser would have been in editing,
or they had costumes. They had some from Adventure in Space and Time.
That is probably where these have been used from, then, actually.
Exactly. Then why couldn't they have used the old ones if that was purely what they were going for?
I don't know. There might be cost values or something.
I think that they're going to be using both in some way. I don't think they have this big promotion and then just to necessarily...
maybe the Cybermen are looking at their future, like, you know how Davros wanted to know how, like, the Daleks lost every battle? They could be doing something like that, looking at their future designs or something.
But then that also, well, I don't know.
It's interesting, but this season is shaping up to look pretty damn awesome.
It is so far, definitely.
I'm getting quite excited, like even more excited than I was for 9. I think that like the last time I've been this excited was probably for 5 when there was a new Doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't overly I was happy for 9, but I wasn't overly ecstatic. It was like as I was watching through it that I became really happy about that.
Yeah.
Minus the ending. If they can keep the consistency high enough quality of Series 9 to where there's no real stinkers, minus the ending. If they can get the ending right this time, you know,
I'd prefer a great final 2-parter and say, you know, Frank Cottrell Boyce's emoji bot one to be a bit naff. But the thing is, I'm fine with it naff ones, like, not exactly like, I don't want it to be bad and boring, but like, not as a great adventures. You want those earlier on in the season. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a fun, random, kind of a bit cringy, but you know, it exists. You know, I think it'll be a good one for like the new companion, you know, because it will be all about her in her new first adventure, you know? And that's why it will be okay for it to be a bit, you know, random, a bit crazy. And then as the season goes on, it should get a bit darker and a bit more themed and a bit more character development, you know? And that's the way it looks. I mean, you know, Star in an Eye, general companion introduction, emoji bots, you know, whatever. Historical one, adds a bit of interest. Then the Haunted Hub, which is a bit spooky. Then Jamie Matheson says his is quite scary. Then we have a Dalek one. And then I'm pretty sure that it's a 2-part Dalek one. Just one episode's written by Stephen Moffat, one's by Peter Harness. because like they worked on the Zygon one together, so I'm pretty sure it might still be a two-parter there. Then we have Toby Whithouse's one with like those the ones which are filming in the street. Then we have the Ice Warrior. Then we have Rona Munro's Eaters of Light, which we know so little about, but there's that beautiful shot when they're in that like massive field. And then the Cyberman two-parter to finish, and it just sounds like a bloomin' good season. So
it does so far. It does so far. I mean, of course, we'll have to see when we get the episodes.
Yeah,
of course, because like they're looking good so far, but I mean, we haven't seen them, so you know, they could half of these could easily turn out to be crap for all we know. You know.
Yeah.
But it's showing promising signs. If they can keep up, as I said, the general consistency of last season to this season, then I'm happy. You know, I'm happy regardless.
I hope there's a bit of I hope it's like, obviously not everything can be like heaven sent, but I mean, what was a strong one from last season? The Zygon two-parter. At least if it's like that higher kind of quality like that throughout the season, then it'll be a very good season. I think, yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of it really with the Mondasians. We'll see. We can't really talk too much now. The Mondasians. It's their race. They just like to call themselves Cybermen. But yeah, so subscribe and you'll see our reactions to those as kind of a few days or the day after it, depending how quick we get round to doing it.
Yeah, it all depends on our schedule, so no promises.
Yeah, but we'll try and get it, you know, relatively soon after the episode, maybe by like the Monday or the Tuesday, and we'll give our thoughts. Maybe even the Sunday if you're lucky. So yeah, click that subscribe and that notification one because YouTube. And yeah, so food for thought is also Chris Marshall has now been banned from bookies. As being the 13th Doctor.
Which, the same thing, as has been pointed out, happened before Peter Capaldi was confirmed as the Doctor. Which could imply some sort of insider knowledge here, if something is leaked and is coming from somewhere. Now, it's not necessarily the case, but it could well be.
I want it to be.
I would be very happy with Chris Marshall. I've seen a few episodes of Death in Heaven. I mean, I haven't watched it extensively. I've watched the odd episode, and it was really pretty darn good. And he is really good. Like,
he's the right age.
I would be very happy.
He's the right age.
I'd be very happy if he was the Doctor.
Yeah. Oh, actually, one thing I kind of wish that this Cybermen two-part finale was Capaldi's last story. I think it would be a bit more fitting.
Yeah, especially considering actually there was a quote which I saw floating around Twitter from last year. Where actually no, 2 years ago, where he was saying that his dream would be to fight the original Cybermen.
Yeah, that's why it's happened. But I mean, the first Doctor regenerated after fighting the Mondasian Cybermen. It would have kind of been full circle, you know?
Well, maybe they're just throwing us off, Nick.
That would be epic if they did. If they just out of nowhere he died, and then the Christmas one was just written by Chris Chibnall instead, but I doubt it.
No, I think Moffat's going to write the Christmas special.
Yeah, so they can't change. They can't change the Doctor. Annoyingly.
Nah. Shame. Oh well. So that's that.
So yeah, it's that's kind of it. Chris Marshall could be a thing. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening to our little news from the Matrix, and we hope to see you next time.
Yeah.
Boy!
We do. Boy!